Now that we've talked about the different aspects of working load limit and minimum braking strength, we really want to understand why those are important. All right, and the reason that they're important is because we know that every material fatigues, whether it's aluminum or steel. And we know that each of these materials becomes weaker over time when it's loaded too high. Okay? So when we start talking about fatigue, we want to be aware of the different mechanical properties of the connector, such as steel or aluminum, but then also, the safety factors, the working load limits, and the minimum braking strength, because they're all a function of each other. A really easy way to demonstrate or to think about fatigue is to think about pulling your finger, at a 1,000-pound load. If you pull it once, it's probably going to pop off. It's going to break off. Our connective tissues aren't really designed for that sort of loading. But if you pull your finger 1,000 times at a 1-pound load, then it's not going to pop off the first time, the second time, the third time. But once you go through those repeated cycles, it's going to get weaker, weaker, and weaker, and probably close to that 1,000th time, your finger's going to pop off. So that's a really similar concept that we're trying to get across with the material fatigue, is that when you go multiple cycles or higher loads, you could potentially be weakening the material and creating stresses or loads that you're not really comfortable with. Another aspect to think about, and we choose different connectors based on the situation that we're going to be using them in, is tri-loading. Tri-loading is a fairly misunderstood concept within the slackline community, so we thought we'd spend a little bit of time just expanding on the concept a little bit. Carabiners, for example, are really commonly used in slacklining. The unfortunate part about that is they're really only intended to be loaded in a particular way, and that's along the spine here. Okay, so the way these are loaded or meant to be loaded is a direct linear pull like this. Okay, when we get into tri-loading actually means that we're creating multiple vectors, or at least 3 vectors on the carabiner. So we can have one load here, and then a load coming out this way, and a load coming out this way. And it's really important to understand this, how these loads or these vectors are put on the equipment, because when you start doing that, you move the load from the back of the spine to the gate, which is where it's not really designed to be taken. So when you start tri-loading, you can effectively reduce the stated minimum braking strength by a pretty significant amount. Okay, so these two concepts, the material fatigue and tri-loading, are really important to understand when you're choosing a proper connector for your specific situation.